What's up, guys? Alright, so what's going on here is I got a 2003 Honda Accord just recently purchased from someone, and the guy curbed it, so I had a little wear in the front wheel, and turns out it's bad wheel bearing and bent tie rod. I'll show you the wheel bearing here in a second. But I don't know, maybe you have a vehicle that you've curbed, or you think some suspension is wrong, or it's wrong, you're going to replace it. This is the old inner tie rod, and see all this motion here? It's not really good, and you can see how it's kind of flared out right there. This is the new tie rod, and I can't move it. That's a big difference. So I already kind of got it disassembled here. I'll go ahead and show you that. I wanted to do it last night, but it's a little dark, so I'm just going to kind of redo the assembly from the disassembled part. So you can see back in here, you got where your inner tie rod goes, back in there, and basically all you had to really take off, it's pretty simple. You take off the top right here, and you take off the brake caliper down here. Then you have your what's this thing called? Strut, yeah, whatever that is. Forgot, sorry. I got on my mind. Take that off. And the bottom right here, then there's a nut on the top right here. You just back it out before you take off the caliper. And what I did was I pulled this top piece down here, and then you can kind of turn it out and pop it all off at one time. So not really too hard, Honestly, the hardest part was, or the most difficult part was breaking the ball joints loose. Now I remember what they're called. I used some like PB Blaster. WD-40 didn't work as good as I thought, but it's whatever your preference is for that, if you have one. But let me show you the wheel bearing here. Alright, so this is the one I got from the junkyard, and I'm not doing just the bearing, I'm doing this whole assembly because the bearing itself is about $35, and then sometimes if they get bad enough, the hub that they actually fit into will be bad too. And I got this whole thing for like 90 bucks for the junkyard, and it makes it a whole lot simpler. You don't have to press it in and worry about screwing any of that stuff up, but as you can see, there's no wobble. If you're wondering if your bearing's bad, or maybe you don't know, you shouldn't be seeing any wobble or play. Now let me show you the old one. I'll zoom in a little here for you. Sorry guys, but alright, you can see it definitely moves. So, and that was really noticeable. And you don't want to let that go too long. Heat them up, burn them up, or whatever. So now we're gonna put the new wheel bearing assembly on, and I'll probably just kind of cut in and out. I'm also going to do the brake pads. They were a little rough, and I'm going to do some other stuff, but it shouldn't take too long. So I'm going to kind of cut in and out and show you what I'm doing, so this video doesn't go on forever. A quick note here: when you're putting this on, don't forget your lock ring here. It's going to go like facing out, and then there are two little joints you're going to fit it in, so it'll end up going like this, and then you bend the metal parts over this flat piece once you get it tightened on. So I'm having a little trouble with this. I noticed it's a little tight. So I'm going to use a pipe wrench. You know, this is definitely not what you're supposed to be using, but it seems to work pretty good. You know, I just want to make sure it's pretty good tight. It's not really a spinning part or anything. I'm just going to snug it up with my little hammer. You know, this is just some shade tree mechanic. This is not a licensed mechanic, and all of this is for reference only. I'm not responsible if you do this wrong and kill yourself. But for me, I don't care. It's alright. Oh, these are really handy too. Stain hammers, if you ain't got one, worth their weight in gold. Alright. Now I'm gonna bend that tab back here, like I was talking about earlier. And gotta get a different hammer. Alright, so I got the inner tie rod on, and I'm about to put the outer tie rod on. First, you gotta put this boot on. Now, what I was gonna say is, you know, before you take this off, you want to count how many threads are from showing once you screw this on, like when you screw it on like that. And I had like 4. I can remember it, even though I took it off yesterday. But you might want to write it down if you plan on working on this over a couple of days, or you forget. And that'll get your adjustment, you know, pretty close to what it was. It won't throw you into the wall or anything, hopefully, unless you're way off to start with. But, you know, it's still going to need an alignment or adjustment. I may try to do that, maybe not. But, you know, just for now, if you want to get by, you just count how many threads from here to this nut that I'm screwing on. And you want to get it up close around there, and then you screw this on and back this nut up tight. But I gotta put this boot on because I almost forgot. Good thing I'm shooting a video and I'm trying to think about what I'm doing. Alright, you can see got my new inner and outer tie rod on. I left it a little loose because I need a little bit of movement when I'm putting this in. And you can see it will move now. It just, you know, stays right where it was, versus this thing just kind of does what it wants, like a floppy noodle. And a little side note here, be careful with your little sensor here, your little magnetic sensor for the, I believe that's for the ABS or the analog, or it could be a speed sensor, but I think it's the analog. And it goes right upside. This old one from the junkyard had one still on it, so I'm just gonna take it off real quick. But it's just like 2 little screws. Pretty easy. This thing's actually pretty easy to work on. I'm kind of glad I got it. I had it quoted how much this would cost to do it, because I didn't have all my tools and stuff. They're in another state, and they wanted like $3 grand for all the damages. I was like, dude, whatever, man. I only paid $700 for the car. I'll just go to buy some of my own tools. But anyway, here you can see this is what you're gonna pull out, what it looks like, and all the holes lined up. So I mean, it's kind of dummy proof. You can only put it in one way. So if you fuck that up, take a picture and show me. Alright, so I'll put this bad boy on here. Kind of cleaned it up a little bit. Just cut off this old tag. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the bottom in first, and you know, kind of have the castle nut here ready and waiting. It's not really that big a deal. I mean, it's a little heavy, but I'll probably have to move this out of the way. You can see I got the brake caliper. No, you can't really see. Alright, you can kind of see I got the brake caliper just chilling over there. I've kind of dropped it a few times. You want to be careful because you don't want to drop it and break this when you're taking it off. This bad boy pushes in a little bit. And here comes the juggling act. Sitting in there. Put this bad boy in here. Come out. Alright, now I'll pause for a second because I kind of want to clean this area out on the inside with a little WD-40. It's a little dirty. That'll help it slide in there. Hold on. So I got the WD-40. Oh, wait a minute. I meant this one. This is for making things come off easy. This is for making them more enjoyable. It really helps when you're crawling around under the truck for a while or a car. Kind of takes away those aches and pains. So, cheers. Alright, enough of that. We gotta get this baby on the road. She ain't making money sitting here. So, just grease this baby up a little bit. If there's an annoying part, this is it. Freaking handy too, man. I always use some other crappy pliers or screwdrivers, you know, but man, if you ain't got some of these things are worth it. They're freaking badass. Now just slide her in. It's looking pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and do the top one here. Lining up the rear one. That one's in there. Woo! This baby's going together like butter. And I'm just putting the nuts on at first. I'm gonna hammer all these down. You want to get those really tight whenever you mess with these. I go forget the name again. Ball joints. Golly, maybe it's the beer. But you want to get them in and set them, and a lot of times they won't even tighten down if you don't, because what'll happen is you start spinning this nut right here, and the whole spindle will just start spinning around, and you'll be like, what did I do wrong? Alright, well, I'm going to try to tap this on here a little better. Make sure I got this lined up properly. Pretty sure work with the axle. Wiggle it in there a little bit. Sometimes, you know, it gets a little flaky, but this is what holds it on, and you'll take this off first before you take it off. Just wanted to show you all that, since I'm kind of doing it in reverse, so it might be a little confusing if you're actually trying to take it off. But this is my first time, so you know, it's cool. I want you to see my mistakes, so maybe if you make the same one, it'll be a little faster for you. But yep, now I got this on, got that on. These are mounted. So this video kind of got a little bit long, so I decided to speed it up. But what I'm showing you right here is putting in the ball joints. I got my sand hammer there. You pretty much beat the crap out of it, beat it down in there, and what you're trying to do is to get the angled part of the bolt to set into the little hole down there. Now you can see I was trying to bang it in there, and it was still spinning around. So what I did is I got a C-clamp. I bought that from AutoZone, and what you basically do is put it on there like that, tighten it down, and try to press it in there with that. And that one's actually kind of cool. It has a little slide. The whole metal piece slides, but it's a little bit kind of hard. It's a little hard to get around there, but you just kind of be patient with it and work with it. What finally ended up happening was I got it clamped on there, and it was a little too close to the nut, so I had to get a adjustable wrench, and I got the little adjustable wrench on there and just kind of adjusted it down till it got pretty snug, and then I could turn it with the socket right there. I'm grabbing the adjustable wrench because I figured out the socket wasn't going to fit on there. Kind of fell off after a second, but you know, I got it to work. So you may have a little different technique you could try. Sometimes they just sit right in there, but they can be a little frustrating sometimes trying to get that nut started. So there, I got it on there, and now I kind of tighten it up. Now don't forget to put in the cotter pin and the castle nut there. That is important. Sometimes people work on the car and they forget and they leave it out. So if you damage it too bad when you're taking it out, you may just want to buy some new ones from the hardware store. There's me about to show you the top and bottom of the castle nuts, and then just telling you to slide it in there. Because if you don't put that in there, then that can back out and just completely fall off, and then you could have some real problems if that happened. So that's pretty much all I was wanting to show you in this scene. Alright guys, so I had to remove the audio. It was a little bit windy, sorry about that, but I'm basically just doing a little overview here of what kind of happened. I got it all assembled back. I put on some new brake shoes. There's two bolts that go on the back, caliper that run through there, and then the little axle nut right there. If you're disassembling it, you have to take that off first, and then that's like the last thing you put on also. Make sure you torque that down really good. Right there is the speed sensor. There's one bolt right there on the side. Just make sure you got that on there. Don't leave it dangling, forget about it, and get caught up in the wheel. And also the brake line. You gotta be real careful with that brake line. I had that brake caliper drop down a few times, so you can either tuck it back in there or get some high enough that you can actually sit that on. But you don't want to damage that brake line. Now, I recommend after you tighten all this and double check everything, to go for like a little road test around the block, just because that way you'll hear if there's anything loose or anything sounds wrong before you go out take it on a major highway or something like that. But most of the time what I'll do is I'll come back after a little road test, just poke my head under there, maybe jack it up if I heard something, and we'll go around and see if anything loosened up, just to kind of err on the side of safety, because we're all humans. We all forget some stuff sometimes, especially if you got distracted or working on late. But thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you next time.